Yes, guys, welcome from me, Chase Manager 0102. It's player profile time. We have a request on this one. The guy you see right before you, right there. David Beckham. Now, in all honesty, and I hold my hands up here, I thought I'd done Beckham. I probably should have done Beckham. He's obviously, whether you like him or not, you know, he's one of the most known England players of all time. There's no doubt about that. You know, for numerous reasons, not necessarily for his football abilities, but for... David Beckham. Where do we start with David Beckham? This is really sad, right? Get ready for this, right? Because when I was, I think I was about like 15, 16, right? I used to buy Match and Shoot magazine. Do you remember Match and Shoot magazine? I used to buy it every week, like a typical fucking kid, yeah? And I used to look for posters that I'd cut out and stick on my wall. And I always remember one of David Beckham. I sound like a right little fucking idiot, don't I? But, and it was back in the days when Beckham was just part of the class of 92. So that's one thing I always remember of David Beckham in my own little world, just this poster. And of course, the next thing I certainly remember is the goal from the halfway line. And, you know, the goal that, yes, was a good goal. But what I remember about the goal isn't to do with the goal or to do with David Beckham. It was the first two people to go, like, sort of hug him was Jordi Cruyff and Brian McClare. And I just remember it, you know, like you can remember something and you can almost picture it. So in terms of as a real player, you know, what he did, he started at Man U as a kid in 1992, but he did have a loan spell. It weren't until a few years later that he really broke in. I think Preston it was Preston. He had a loan spell at Preston. Now, you can't grumble, really, with Man United and the way Alex Ferguson adopted the class of 92, or any players that have come through the ranks, because, you know, I think the class of 92, you think to yourself, there's a good half a dozen there that all turn into quality players. Gary Neville, Phil Neville, as much as I don't like him, Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, you know. So, in terms of a player, you know, Beckham was probably one of the best crossers in the game, in my opinion. You know, he could whip a cross in. He would be your corner taker every day of the week. He would be your free kick taker if it's within striking range every day of the week. The only time that he wouldn't be the free kick taker, like in real life, is when he played at Real Madrid, when you've got Roberto Carlos stepping up. But there's that thing, I saw it recently, most bizarre goals, and it's he plays this like direct corner across the ground to Roberto Carlos, and Carlos is just another level. But the problem about David Beckham is he was inconsistent, you know, and I think maybe that probably got that's what got to him. People were putting so much expectation on him that he just couldn't perform to top shelf standard every week. Then, of course, one big memory everybody has about David Beckham was back in 1998, which was the red card. Now, I'm not a footballer. I'm not a celebrity. I don't accept, right? I do not accept a player getting a red card because he's young and naive and he'll learn from it and he'll come back from it. Fuck right off. The bottom line is, right, he fucking stood on Simeone, you know, and I don't give a shit what anybody says, you know. Forget you learn from your mistakes, yeah? He cost us. He got a red card and he fucking cost us. We said the same about Rooney when Rooney trod on Carvalho. Forget that Ronaldo was winking at him and shit. You can't fucking do that. You know, I mean, Roy Keane, you see, he does shit, no one is going to get sent off, and he accepts it. I mean, I've said before numerous times about Roy Keane. In fact, I think I have to do a video on Roy Keane, and you know, and that really fucking bugs me. Now, of course, there's going to be fans of Man United, fans of Beckham that are going to say I'm talking up my arse or I'm a cunt or anything like that. Do you know what? I couldn't give a flying fuck, because the bottom line is, right, Beckham became a prima donna. You know, he became obsessed with his life away from football, and then people wonder, why did Alex Ferguson get rid of him in 2003? I'll tell you why, right? Because Ferguson, that's what makes Ferguson a great manager. Forget the fact that Ferguson being a fucking pain in the arse or Fergie time. You cannot grumble about Alex Ferguson as a manager. Absolute legend of the manager. He didn't just crack it for Man United and what he turned them into. But the last team to ever win the Scottish Premiership out of Celtic, away from Celtic and Rangers is Aberdeen, and that was managed by Alex Ferguson. Anyway, I said about Alex Ferguson. So, but he takes no shit, and Beckham got the brunt of that. You can't do that shit. And to be fair, he redeemed himself, in my opinion, David Beckham, in terms of, Real Madrid. He didn't do too bad for Real Madrid. And then he sort of, a bit like me playing a CM save, he went around, didn't he? He went to LA Galaxy, he went to AC Milan, he went to Paris Saint-Germain. And I think, in fairness to him, he did really well. He amassed over 500-odd appearances in total, 520-odd, close to 100 goals as well, which was a bit of a shame that he didn't actually reach the 100 goals. He is one of very few players to have amassed over century caps for England, 115 to be exact. I'm not sure how many assists he got, but I know he got a dozen and a half or so goals for England. So, so as a player, and then of course, he'll always have money, won't he? He don't have to do fuck all, I do follow a lot of his shit and the rest of his family, all their shit, and you just keep seeing them. He could fucking get himself a brand new haircut, any old haircut, and it'd become a hit. I mean, look at the time when he got a Mohican. Every fucking child in the world wanted a Mohican. Let's talk about him then on CM. So I fired up a game here 8 seasons in. Now, David Beckham, where's his best position? Well, he's a midfield centre right now. I don't like using right wingers unless they're an attacking midfielder. But if you look at his attributes, he's got creativity, he's got crossing. And bear in mind, I'm 8 seasons in, so he's 34, and he's going to have developed or decreased in certain areas. But he's got, he's the ideal right winger, to be fair. He hasn't really quite got the pace, but he didn't have in real life. But let's take a look now then at his history. These are all playable leagues, let me remind you, because I was Braga in this game. Excuse me. And if you look back now then, so season 1 was by far his best season for Man United. 21 assists, 11 goals. They must have played him on the right. To get that amount of assists is phenomenal. And not quite the greatest average rating. Season 2, another 20 assists. Absolutely great. Season 3, phased off a little bit. Season 4, he must have moved. No, Season 4 was absolutely horrendous. I think that is horrendous. 2 assists. And as you can see, he never really recovered. Now, back in 08-09, I bought him when I was Braga manager on a free transfer. Now, without seeing... we can't actually check, but were Man United playing him in the middle? Who knows? But the first 3 seasons, I think he has to play it on the right wing. But you could technically, he's got creativity and he's got passing, so you could technically have him in the middle. It's an interesting one. It really is an interesting one as to how he flares up. But it's very difficult to get Beckham unless you're Man United, or unless, like I did with this particular save, you wait towards the back end of his contract. You can see his last few seasons, what was he, 34, 33, so 32, 31. So he wasn't really getting games towards his early 30s. And even late 20s, look how shit he was doing for Man United. So, look at that. No, so, yeah, 2 assists, that's fucking awful. So, you need to get a little bit of luck with Beckham. Now, if any of you guys have had any successes with David Beckham, share it with us. Or, on the contrary, if you've had any disasters with him, share it with us. I would love to hear from you guys if you've had any specific experiences with this prima donna, class of 92 prick. No, that's harsh. But he really can't construct a sentence, can he? I'll tell you what, right, Beckham... The ideal conversation for Beckham to have is definitely with Paul Gascoigne, right? Can you imagine them both talking? Nah, it would be an interesting one. I'd like to be a fly on the wall. But one thing, going back to what I was saying about the way Alex Ferguson dealt with him, was, of course, the boot treatment, But you can imagine, right, because he became so obsessed with his off-the-field antics or his showbiz or the whole Posh Spice thing, Ferguson must have really wanted to whack him, you know, and I bet Roy Keane did as well. I've never really listened to Roy Keane's perspective of him, but he must have really wanted to whack him one, and I say whack him, and I don't just mean a slap, right? I mean a fucking whack. That's it from me, guys. If you want any player profiles done that I haven't already covered, do just pop it in the comment box there or on the community post, or if there's anything else you want doing within CM, share it with me. Until next time from me, guys, take it easy.